by the mercies of God Almighty, the Father of Master Yeshua, and His God, our God, and our Father. This word coming straight to your house, into your room, as we are living in very terrible, hectic days. Things are absolutely not normal. Nothing is functioning as normal as before. No. Not the governments, not the offices, not the transport, the flights, the schools, and what more, the church gatherings has been curtailed, stopped. People who are so addicted, if I could use the word, and some others as a routine. They go to a building which they call church. So we're going to learn today. Okay, you say, I'm a Roman Catholic. Another one, I'm an Anglican. Another one says, I'm a Methodist. Yet another one, I'm an OG or CPM or Pentecostal. Or yet another one says, I'm an non-RC. But others, a few say, I'm a Christian. No one has ever said in my hearing, what are you? I'm a disciple of Jesus Christ. I never heard that until this day. So whatever it may be, we do many things because of lack of knowledge. We are called, or we are involved in doing something as a routine without finding out the real root meaning, reason why we are doing it, all right? So I'm talking to those dear people, sincere, who will want to know the truth, but then truth is not given to them in the place where they go and meet on a Sunday or any day. So I'm led by my heart to speak about where did this word come from, the English word called church. C-H-U-R-C-H. Now, mostly people who talk various languages. They includes all the languages all over the world, even in remote areas, people who have never been to a school. But they understand the moment you say church, oh, the soldiers, the farmers, anyone, the word church, they understand. Many get an idea that they are Christians and not belong to any other religion. They have a religion called Christianity. So we are going to see the understanding in a little way that we should know. We're not called to be scholars. Let the scholar dig in and debate and fight and squall and bawl. I was a Roman Catholic for 33 years from my birth. Reason? My parents were Roman Catholics. Maybe you are in the same line. Or you are a Methodist because you're born in a Methodist family, right? Or I'll come to the later. Or you are a CPM, or you are a Assemblies of God. A Roman Catholic, whatever. We are born in that family. So naturally, a child born in a Hindu family becomes a Hindu. That's the normal thing. But there are others who become a Roman Catholic because of marriage. Therefore, a Methodist gathering, a group, he marries a Roman Catholic girl and she said, no, I won't leave my church. So he goes there. And vice versa. There are people join the church for their own benefits. Some of the people who are in these gatherings, whether Methodist, Anglican, some churches give them some blessing, like they want to build a well or a little house, or they give some money. All these things take place. They're here, and especially when they want to help the poor, and they give some food articles, and the story goes out, and other people come and join. And there are some others who join for their own purposes. They want to be a part of a Christian group, an assembly, because they want to get the visa to go some of the Middle East countries, Saudi or Qatar. Christianity is accepted in certain countries, but not Hinduism or Buddhism or whatever. It is also true in some country, the moment you go and land in the airport, they will see a checkup and they see a Bible, they throw it off. So you get all kinds of things happening like this. So let us see why till this day you call yourself that I am a Roman Catholic, I'm a Methodist, I'm an Anglican, I'm a CPM, I'm an OG. I am not living anywhere. That's fine. Perfectly okay. I'm a Pentecostal, CPM, I'm that, I'm this. While they say this, with all the divisions, the people who are following other religions naturally they're going to be confused, right? Why is this? Even if they don't ask questions, why are there so many divisions? And every group, whether it's a Roman Catholic or the Anglican or Methodist or AUG or CPM, these are the ones that we know over here. There are so many, the Lutherans, the CSI, Church of South India, all kinds of things. They boast about the name of their group. I did that. Some people might say, oh, you're a Christian? I'm a Roman Catholic. I delighted in saying that. True. I knew nothing about what was said in the Bible. But I was so proud saying that. I believe it's so with so many people until this very day. What about the Anglican? What about the Methodist? They, even though they don't understand a thing, where it came from, how that name came, how is it, which is the church which began many say the Roman Catholic Church is the first church we began and started. We're going to see all that. What is truth? Okay? So like what I said before, Jeremiah cries out in chapter 9, verse 23. Jehovah says, Jehovah is the name of the only true God who created the heavens and the earth through His Word. His Word is the Messiah Spirit. The Word was in the beginning. The Word was with God and the Word was God. And the Word is. And the Word became flesh. And that, we know that Joshua. Probably I will, if I'm led to study about, since I'm talking to these particular groups, the word, Hebrew word Elohim Hebrew word El Elyon. Some of these things we must know. Jesus is not his name. His name is Yeshua. All right, like those things. So let us see from where the word church came from. It's very complicated and historical. It derived from an old English word, cerise, I don't know, C-A-R-C-E. The word church. Still, people cannot come to a correct understanding where this word church came from. The Old English, cerise. And then that word came from, going back, the German word Karika or Kirika. So from Kirika, cerise, English word came. Then the German word Kirika likely came from the Greek word kuriak. Kuriak, that's a Greek word, which means of the Lord. Kuriak. It is from this word later kurios came, master. Okay, the English word came from the Anglo-Saxon kirk, K-I-R-K-E, which came from the Latin word circus. Circus meaning circle, because the Christians, when they gathered, they circled around and prayed. A circus. Everybody, most of the people, that is what circus is, circle or a ring. So this is how, little by little, the word church came from. But until now, you ask anybody, what is the meaning of the church? Oh, they will say, well, that's a place where we gather. Is it wrong? The first is, we have the Roman Catholic Church, let's say, a building. Take away my picture. We have a Methodist church, an Anglican church, and we see the building and we think unconsciously that's the church. House is not the church. They are buildings, just what you saw now. So when you are passing by the road, say you are in a car and you are passing where you gather, you look at the building and say, oh, that's our church. That is not the church, that's a building. I'm going to tell you where this complicated word church, go back to the Greek word, okay? So, The English word church, actually translated from the Greek word ecclesia. Ecclesia. Meaning the called out. A people called out. Called out? Yeah. God Almighty called out a people for himself. It started a long time ago. That was the Jewish church, the called out people in the wilderness under Moses. You can call him Pastor Moses. Oh, remember the word, English word, translated that way, Paul wrote ecclesia, the called out. For that, translated to church or assembly. But the real meaning of the Greek word ecclesia is called out. Out. Now, let's see what Simon Peter tells us. First Peter, the first book, chapter 2, verse 9. First Peter chapter 2, verse 9. But you are a chosen race, a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for God's own possession, so that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who has called you out there, who has called you out from where? Out of darkness into his marvelous light. So Peter tells us God chose a people, called them out from darkness to light. For himself, to be his own people, to be his own possession, to proclaim his praise, his plans, his kingdom. It was God's own choice. Okay? So the people are called out of darkness to come out of darkness into light. Are you understand? The whole world got into darkness when Adam sinned in the Garden of Eden handed over the rulership to Lucifer, Satan, the whole world became dark. All the creations, the birds, the animals, the trees, everything came into darkness. And Isaiah this is what happened because of the sin of Adam. The whole world is under the power of the devil. So God from the world calls out of darkness into his light. The kingdom of Satan is darkness. And people who are in there do not know where they came from, why they are on earth, where they are going, what is happening in their lives, to their families, to their children. Nothing. Nothing. Most of them know that one day they had to die. Death came because of sin, because Adam broke the covenant, the law in the garden. Isaiah the prophet, a prophet means the one chosen by God Almighty, the only true and living God. The prophets are chosen by Elohim, God Almighty, to speak the words that he gives them. So Isaiah cried out 2,000, nearly 700 years ago. Yeshua was born, Jesus, about 2,000 years ago. Now Isaiah lived nearly 750 years before the birth of Christ. So he said in the book of Isaiah chapter 60, he said, verse 2, for behold, darkness will cover the earth, and deep darkness the peoples. Darkness will cover the earth, and deep darkness the people. Not just darkness, when he was saying about the people, deep darkness, the peoples. But the Lord will rise upon you, and his glory will appear upon you. Now, until now, even though this was said 2,750 years around that time before, how will it be now? See the violence, see what things are happening on earth, in the families, in schools. Most of the governments are convinced absolutely the coronavirus is not something biological. It was created. It's man-made. They're finding out the eyes are being opened. And has spread all over the world. Jesus said there will be plagues. He said it in plural. So, the whole world is under darkness. They don't know what they are doing, why they are following a religion, why they are a Roman Catholic, a Methodist, Anglican, a CP. No. So, living under the darkness, confusion of the devil, who is the ruler of this world until this very minute. He rules over kingdoms, governments, many Christian gatherings which we are studying are called churches. Many of them are not planted by God Almighty. He has nothing to do with those group or assembly. Nothing. A tree that is not planted by my Father every tree shall be uprooted, Jesus said. So, ecclesia, the Greek word translated in English, church or assembly, the Jewish people normally 99% of the time would not like to use the word church. They will use the word gathering or assembly. Yeah. Really, the pagans were not Jewish. The Americans, the Canadians, the West, the Europe, Asians, they use that word. So the word ecclesia, the Greek, is a people called out from darkness to light, from the power of the devil to the power of God. They have no religion. God the Father or His Son, Jesus, has nothing to do with the names Roman Catholicism, Methodism, Anglicanism, or CPM. He doesn't know any of these things. He only knows his own people who are called out of darkness. Are you one of them? If you have been called out and you have received the light of the revelation, meaning it's been revealed in your heart by God the Father who Jesus Christ is. And Jesus Christ for such people is my sheep. And those people who have received, come out of darkness, come out from those who have come out from the confusion of the devil, the dominion of the devil, the lies of the devil, out of darkness into the light, they won't continue to say, I am that, I am this, I am Methodist, I am Anglican, I'm a Roman Catholic. No. They won't say that. The church is not a building. At the very beginning, the gatherings, people who were called out, when it began in Jerusalem, they met in houses. It was a house gathering. The called out ones were meeting in a house. The house is not a church. The people who are meeting inside are called church, ecclesia, the called out. How can you call out a house or a building? So when you go on the street, you pass a place where you gather every Sunday, and you tell the others who are in the vehicle, well, that's my church. No, that's not the church. A building is not the church. The building is where you gather, where you assemble. The people are the ones who are called out, ecclesia. God never called out buildings. We are called, Peter says, we are called out of darkness into his marvelous light. He didn't even call them Christians. He says God's own people, chosen people. Chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for God's own possession. See, that's the church. His own property. The ones who called out of darkness. Why darkness? The whole world is in darkness. They don't know what they stumble. The governments are in darkness. The presidents and prime ministers, most of them are in darkness. Not knowing where they're going, what is happening. Satan's blindness. Yeah. So they are called out to proclaim the excellencies of him who has called you out from darkness into his marvelous light. Earlier they were not a people, now they are God's people. Never he called such people who are called out Christians, Methodists, Roman Catholic. No. You are now if you have been called out, if you have received the light of the Son of God, you are God's possession, His own people. So church is not a building. When Paul said the church at Galatia, in the book of Galatians chapter 1 verse 1 and 2, he said, the called out ones by God Almighty who gather in the city of Galatia or Corinth or Rome or Ephesus, church at Ephesus, the city. Thessalonica, the church was there. The church at so-and-so's house. So the building or the house is not the church, the people who are called out, who's God's own possession. They come out from darkness to light. God willing, we will continue. God bless you.